Okay, what's up guys? This is part 2 of the Destructiion Warlock PvP guide for Miss Pandaria. So in this video I'm going to be going over Glyphs, I'm going to be going over stat priorities, and I'm going to be going over macros. So let's start with Glyphs. You don't really have much of a choice as Destro. These are the only 3 decent Glyphs. I think they are, and pretty much everyone I see has them. So you want Glyph of Conflagrate. This gives you an on-demand snare. Usually Conflagrate would only snare if you had Immolate on the target, but this will let you do it without Immolate on. So next I take Burning Embers. This gives you up to 4 Ember slots, so this can potentially give you a longer burst window, give you more maximum burst, so that's good. Then I have Glyph of Healthstone. This turns your Healthstone into a heal over time, but increases the healing by 100%. So that's actually pretty significant. Normally Healthstone heals for 20% of your maximum health. This will make it 40%. Okay, so now let's go into stat priorities. So I did a lot of testing on the tournament realm since I can like freely regen, re-enchant, and I found a pretty good stat priority based on math and stuff like that. I looked at PvE simulations, so I have thought this out, and I have looked at the numbers and stuff like that. So the first one in my testing that I found, the best stat, point for point, is going to be intellect. It's the best stat. So if you have 100 intellect, it's going to be better than 100 of any other stat. Just increases the damage by the most. Okay, the next one after intellect is going to be PvP power, and it's considerably behind intellect. So yeah, PvP power is a new stat. What it does, it increases the damage that you do to other players. So it's not going to work in PvE or whatever. So the next thing that you want to do is get your hit to 6%. That's the new cap. So mine's at 5.59%. I should probably reforge something, but really as long as you're above like 5% or so, that's pretty good. This is really important because you don't want to miss important spells like, say, like a Fear or a Shadow Fury or a Chaos Bolt or a Spell Lock or something like that. So yeah, it's really important to get your hit to as close to 6% as you can. Okay, so onto the secondary stats. This is where it can get a little bit controversial. The best secondary stat is going to be Mastery. What Mastery does is it increases the damage of Immolate, Incinerate, Fel Flame, and Conflagrate by a decent amount, but what it really does is it increases how much Chaos Bolt hits for and how much Ember Tap heals for. Your Burning Ember, consuming spells, and Shadow Burn actually also. So it increases those significantly. There's a common myth that, well, I'll go over it when we go over crit, but yeah, basically Mastery will give you the highest Chaos Bolts, even over Intellect, even over crit, even over PvP power. So Mastery is a really good stat to stack. The next best stat after Mastery is going to be crit. It's only slightly worse than Mastery, I think. It's still pretty good. Crit's good for a couple reasons. The first reason is when you crit an Incinerate or a Fel Flame, your main Ember generating spells, you're going to double your Ember generation rate. It'll generate 2/10 of an Ember instead of 1/10. We'll get into that in the next video, all about Ember generation. So that's one thing crit does. The other thing is obviously it does double damage, when you crit, so it increases that chance. And also for Chaos Bolt always crits, 100% chance. So what crit does is it increases the damage of Chaos Bolt. So that's what crit does for Chaos Bolt. But the myth is that, because that's the case, it does more damage. That's the stat to have. That's the secondary stat to have. Even our Dark Soul increases our crit, so kind of implying that crit's really, really, really good for Destro. Well, it's good, but it actually doesn't increase our Chaos Bolt more than stacking Mastery. So yeah. I'll show all that in a Google Doc spreadsheet, and I'll link that in the description. It might take me a day or two to get to that, though. Okay, the next stat after crit is I like PvP resilience, which is tied to your survivability. I feel pretty, I feel like I have a lot of survivability, so I don't really stack this. I don't gem this. So I do enchant this on my chest right here, but it's still good to have a healthy amount. You get enough from just just random gear that you have. So I wouldn't worry too much about gemming for this. So the last stat, your worst secondary stat, the stat that you want to avoid, is going to be haste. Haste just doesn't do much as Destro. First of all, you don't cast too often, and when you do cast, you just, you have things like Backdraft to already give you like 30% inherent haste. So haste isn't that good. It doesn't do much for your damage compared to Mastery and Crit and PvP Power and Intellect. So those are all better. So avoid haste, reforge out of it when you can. I'll show you how I gem real quick. For my meta, I use this Burning Primal Diamond. For my red sockets, I use Perfect Mysterious. It gives me Intellect and PvP Power, so it's a purple gem. For my yellow sockets, I use a green gem. It's called Effulgent. So it gives me PvP Power and Mastery. And for my blue sockets, I use Perfect Stormy. So I use Stormy. So that gives me full PvP power. So yeah, that's what I found is best. Okay. So now on to macros. So there's a few types of macros that you need to know. First of all, focus macros. Make sure you have either a macro to set your focus, or you go into key bindings and you keybind focus target to something. You need to be able to set a focus. What this does is allows you to have kind of like a secondary target that you can do actions on with a macro. So these focus macros, basically I have my important spells for focus macros. So anything that I would want to do to a second target, that's what I make these focus macros for. So I have Focus Fear, I have Focus Curse of Enfeeblement, I have Focus, let's see, I Focus Command Demon, where is that? There it is. Focus Command Demon. I'm going to post all these in the description, so don't worry about that. I have Focus Havoc, and I think that's about it. Oh yeah, I also have Focus Conflagrate right here, if I want to like snare my off target. That's why I have that. Oh yeah, I also have Focus Death Coil. So those are my focus macros. Okay, so I also have a Demon Soul, or I guess it's called Dark Soul macro. So what this does is it casts Dark Soul and it uses my on-use trinket. So that'll maximize my burst. I'll pop, I'll have my trinkets up for when I pop Dark Soul. Let's see. I have this is an important macro that I was talking about earlier with that Glyph of Healthstone. So since Dark Regeneration and Healthstone are both heal over times and they're based off maximum health, it's good to use them together. Especially since Dark Regeneration increases all other healing that you do, so that's why I use these together. And these two alone can, they'll heal for about like 70% of my health, so that's pretty good. What I also put in this macro is 2 lines, one to use my Battle Master's trinket if I have that, and one to use Shadow Bulwark, which is if you sack your Voidwalker, it'll give you health. It'll give you like a last stand ability that you can use. So I'll use those 2 things first to increase my health, and then I'll use my healing abilities that are based off my maximum health. So I'm just increasing my health first before I use the abilities that heal over my maximum health, so I get bigger heal over times. Okay, so the other macros I have a Fel Flame Mouseover to tag totems and stuff. I have, okay, this is important for arenas especially. I have Singe Magic. This is when you sack your imp, you get his dispel. So I found this only works if you put Command Demon in the line. So I have one for each of my teammates, and then I have just Command Demon on my bar, so I can use it on myself as well. The last macros that I have, it's really cool. This is an add-on that I have. It's called like Info MoP Macros Talents or something like that. I'm gonna link it in the description. It's really cool to have. What this does is you just name the macro whatever tier talent. So for example, say like tier 4 is this tier. So if I switch right here, and then let's see, so then I'll learn Burning Rush, put my macros, and then it changes automatically to Burning Rush. Changes on my bar as well, so I don't have to waste time putting my new spell on my bar. I switch talents a lot, so that's really good. So I do it for a few tiers. So yeah, that's all my Mists of Pandaria macros. Again, I'm posting all those in the description, so yep, look for that. And in the next video we'll be going over basically our rotation, our destruction bursts, our survival, and just our general playstyle, how to play the spec like in real terms. Okay, hope you liked the video, guys. Take care.